everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Third Party, a Microsoft support show brought to you by your friends at US Cloud. We are again joined by Mike Jones, our VP of Product Development. And Mike, today we are talking about FUD, an acronym that stands for Fear, Uncertainty, and Doubt. One of the aspects of uncertainty that's frequently brought up in this field, if I'm a Microsoft Unified support customer and I leave Unified, like my relationship with them is done.
False. Can we throw a big logo? False. So let's first consider Microsoft as a fantastic sales and marketing company. When it comes specifically to the FUD, what they're trying to instill in customers is to maintain, obviously, the sale. So when you're looking at any kind of third-party options, be aware that you're going to hear a lot of different things. So these partners aren't certified in certain areas. They're not capable. They don't have the staff. They don't have the right service delivery model. And then they can't escalate. What I will say is when customers come to us from Microsoft, what they're trying to establish is you don't have a direct connection. As a customer going to a third party to Microsoft, should those issues need to escalate back, it's simply untrue. The reality of it is that when you are a partner with Microsoft, you do have the ability to provide a escalation capability to your customers on behalf of Microsoft and work with the customer and Microsoft all the way through escalation. Or resolution, I should say. Just know there is peace of mind that partners can escalate to Microsoft.
How does escalation of issues actually work?
There are a couple of different models, again, within Microsoft support. You have your CSP providers, which essentially sell the licensing to the customer, and then they are responsible at a minimum to provide level 1 and level 2 support on the products that they are selling to their end customers. You sell Azure licensing to a customer, you would then be their first escalation point for all of those services. I will say that at a minimum on the level of quality and the expertise that you will get from these partners. And most of the models, they're building their CSP support model on top of an existing line of business. They don't have a support bench that's sitting there on the ready when your enterprise customer calls in for support. Once the CSP then escalates, there is premier support for partners. There is advanced support for partners. There is tenant-based escalations, or what I like to call EA or licensing-based incidents. And there are paper incidents. And those are typically, the paper are typically for your on-premise issues. All the other ones are cloud-related for tenant. And then the advanced support and premier support are typically a all-encompassing support.
Okay. So a lot of different options that are available once someone does consider making that shift away from Microsoft to a third party. Who can do it? What are the entities that can escalate tickets to Microsoft?
To Microsoft.
Can anybody do it?
Not anybody. You can on the paper, right? So we call those pay packs, support packs. You buy them in a 5-pack of incidents, and then you can literally off the street on your couch buy these packs from Microsoft and call in for support. Your advanced support and premier support for partners are partner-only agreements. So you have to be in the Cloud AI partner program, and then you have to purchase specifically contract hours on a yearly basis with Microsoft that are held there to utilize for many different services. Reactive, proactive, consulting, advisory, all of that is in this contract that partners can then leverage that contract mechanism on behalf of their customers if they have an established relationship with that end user or customer. The difference between advanced support and premier support for partner really is advanced support is cloud only. Any of your on-prem or hybrid technologies do not classify in that. Premier support is everything. And the second major difference between advanced support and premier support is with premier support, you get critical situation management. So when you have very business impacting issues, business critical, premier support really is your way to go because you have dedicated resources on the Microsoft side, specifically CSAMs and crit set managers that are there to support your customers all the way through that process. Most customers will want to verify that partners have a premier support contract in place that they have access to on behalf of their incidents to be escalated.
So Mike, How does going through a partner actually impact the level of support that you're getting?
A lot of customers look at that as, oh, I'm adding an extra hop into this process, right? I used to have Microsoft directly through Unified. Now I'm going through a partner, and now I'm adding this extra jump or hop into the process before the partner then goes to Microsoft with the customer. And in reality, if you actually are looking at a valued partner, they should be resolving a majority of those cases up front and saving you a lot of money in the process. The goal of that is in-house resolution when you're looking at a service provider like US Cloud. We're resolving between 75 and 80% of all of our enterprise customer incidents that come through, and that's all technologies, all severities under that Microsoft umbrella. You should see exponential times as far as average days open or time to resolution. Just on average, using US Cloud examples, we typically will resolve a SEV1 issue within 4 to 5 hours of build time, engineer time. Versus Microsoft, because it's a unified, it's an unlimited model, they don't really track by time to resolution in hours. But what they look at is average days open. And if you look at Microsoft's data, the average day open for a SEV1 is somewhere between 2 and 3 days. So
why is that? Why is it so much longer?
Well, the problem is that with Microsoft, they're playing a little outside of their ski tips. They have really pushed this cloud infrastructure and cloud services, Office 365, MC Dynamics 365, Azure, and all things Azure. And in doing so, they really haven't beefed up their support for these products. So now what they're doing is they're scrambling and they're utilizing partners as contractors. If you see a VDash in front of it, they're not a Microsoft employee. They're an outside vendor that's providing support on behalf of Microsoft. And I would say between 80 and 90% of all their unified support is going through an outside vendor. When you submit a ticket through Unified, you're not going straight to a badged Microsoft employee. You're going through their levels of subcontracted support. And then I call it the Groundhog Day effect, where you're constantly repeating your issues over and over to get to the right person. Typically, it's a good experience once you finally get there, but multiple hours and or days have already passed before you hit that right person that can actually help you with your issue. And I think that's what customers are feeling right now. And they're pushing back because that quality isn't there.
And so the FUD tactic of saying like, hey, once you leave, like you're done, that's also not true.
Right. The escalation capability for the partners is there. We control that experience 100%. You're going to get a faster response. You're going to get a faster engagement and follow up from our resources, which ultimately is going to lead to a better overall customer experience and faster resolution times for your business. Again, Microsoft is great at developing products. It's just their support has really taken a hit lately. And there's very few resources at Microsoft that actually can fix your problem. So remember that a third party really is a viable option in this space for you.
So TLDR here, not only is escalation possible, but it's necessary for Microsoft to have a healthier support structure. But if I am looking at outsourcing, if I'm looking to a third party, what I need to consider is parties that have a lower escalation rate to ensure that more of my tickets are handled in a timely fashion.
Yes. Escalation percentage is a very important part of the overall product that the partners provide. You need to ask those questions when you're evaluating a partner. I've seen on a high end, some CSP partners don't really bench, the expertise needed for those products and escalate 80% of all the cases. They're only taking care of the really low, trim the fat 20%. They're throwing everything over the fence at Microsoft. And I believe, I actually know that Microsoft is rewarding the partners that are resolving the higher majority of those cases. It's a very vital part of this next evolution of support. It's going to be partner-led first. Microsoft, being the product owners, are there as a final escalation so that they can really, truly resolve the products and the bugs and the code issues.
Well, thanks for the overview, Mike. Really appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining us today on Third Party and Microsoft Support Show. As always, you can get more content at uscloud.com, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, you guys excited to get the live results of my shoulder MRI?
Distal clavicular osteolysis.